Hello, I'm Anna and welcome back to this channel. Today is a planning for 2024 video, setting goals for 2024, and we'll talk about the goals that I'm creating and why and how they're different from last year, why I chose to do that. And I'm also going to be making my 2024 vision board so that we can have kind of a goal aesthetic as we go into the new year. Last year I didn't make a vision board, I don't think, but usually I love making them. While we're getting into this video today, think about and put in the comments, what is your overall goal for 2024? Whether that's something specific that you're hoping to accomplish, or if that's just like a word, an intention, a vibe you want for the year, what will your 2024 look like? So I want to start by kind of giving background into my mindset going into making 2024 goals for this year. I wanted to be very mindful about the goals that I'm making, and I've been thinking about them for a while instead of just like rushing on December 31st to create some goals. 2024 is going to be a different year for me, and that's definitely reflecting in the goals that I have made. 2022, I was all about accomplishing. It was grind time. I did my last semester of my grad program. I got a post-grad job. I graduated with my master's. I studied and then ended up getting my social work license. So it was very big on the academic, professional growth. And honestly, 2023 was too, but in a different way. 2023, as you know, because I've talked about it a lot recently, and maybe you've seen it too, was big on change and finding the place that I wanted to fit into my community, set myself up for my future. There was a lot of change that went on in 2023, and all good things, but also lots of growth things again, and very heavy on the professional development, a little bit on physical fitness goals, a little bit on social goals type things. But it was another year that was very professional focused, and despite this channel being quite social work focused, obviously there are other aspects of me and of my life, as there should be, and I think sometimes those don't get focused on as much whenever we have big professional achievements or big academic achievements. And so honestly, 2024 is going to be a year that I'm going to try to lean into those other things that make me, those other aspects of life, because 2024 is a year that I don't see there being a lot of professional growth in. I imagine, obviously I have no idea, but I imagine that I'll be in the exact same position at the end of this year that I am at the beginning of this year, and I'm okay with that. That's why last year was the big year of change, so that I could find a place that I felt good about landing. But since there's not going to be, knock on wood, that kind of big change, it does give room for life to grow in other ways, not all of which I know what they're going to be, That being said, my goal system that I did at the beginning of this year, end of last year, was kind of just a bingo board, because since I knew that the year was going to be filled with so much change, and that it was a big kind of scary year at the beginning of it, not knowing how it was going to go, how things are going to end up, and knowing that it was going to take a lot of bravery and confidence from me, my bingo board was with the intention of there are a lot of things that I just know are going to have to happen, and so I wanted to have that sense of accomplishment of checking off when those things did happen. Some of them were goals, but most of them, it was things like quit my job. It was things like get a new job. It was things like move into a new apartment, buy a new couch, buy a new vacuum, maximize my contribution to my Roth IRA. That's a goal, but also I wanted for it to happen. I wasn't taking steps every day, bettering myself to get there. It was just a step more so than a goal, I guess. I had a couple YouTube, social media related goals, but my mindset is a lot different going into this new year. So I've separated the goals that I've made into categories, starting with personal goals. And these are going to be fluid. If I feel the need to add or change or reword any of these, I'm going to let myself throughout the year. I'm probably going to keep an original copy just to know how they changed, but I guess this is a big year of intentions for me, since there's not going to be as much obvious movement in my life. Personal goals in 2024, I want to begin relearning Spanish. I worked so hard to learn Spanish, and quickly. I didn't take it before college. I took French in high school, and then I switched to Spanish in college. I took 2 semesters of Spanish, and then I studied abroad for 2 months. And in that time, I became, I wouldn't say fluent, but I would say that I could express myself and what I needed to say very adequately, and could understand everything that was being said to me in Spanish, just from hard studying and then just full immersion. However, being unimmersed from Spanish does make it harder to keep that up. And then coupled on with that, one semester after I was unimmersed and already kind of struggling to keep up the fluidity of the language that I was learning is whenever COVID hit. And I feel like that hit my Spanish capabilities a lot because I didn't practice at all. I didn't have people to practice with. I didn't have like groups to speak to type of thing. And that's honestly when my Spanish just took like a deep, sharp decline. Coming back to college in late 2020, early 2021, I was in Spanish classes, but I could just tell I was struggling a lot more. And I think part of that being the fact that the Spanish that I did learn, I learned so quickly. So it wasn't like I had this like super strong foundation. It really was, I learned the language through immersion, which is incredible. Like that's a great way to learn a language, but my upkeep afterwards has just been really hard. And then after I graduated undergrad, I've done next to nothing to keep that up. And so it's frustrating now because I always like picture in my head where I could have been if I had kept it up better, because it's like, I don't know, like at the hospital, if I'm working with Spanish speaking clients, we use interpreters, which is incredible that we have in-person interpreters who are so wonderful with us and with our families. But it's so frustrating to me because it's like, I know that my brain knew how to say all of this at one point and now it doesn't. And I can't even fool myself and pretend that like by the end of this year, I'm going to be able to adequately express myself in Spanish again and to understand everything that's being said to me again. But I do want to start taking steps in the right direction to get at least closer to that. A like very long-term goal, not a 2024 goal, past that. I have lots of like 2025 and beyond goals, but very long-term goal would be to be able to pass the like bilingual test that my hospital does so that I wouldn't have to use interpreters when working with Spanish-speaking families. I think that could be so valuable, but that obviously would take a whole lot of work to get there whenever I'm not native Spanish speaking and I currently right now in my environment don't have like anywhere to practice for real. Try a dance studio. This isn't something I've talked about yet, but I actually have like very impending plans to go and try a dance studio. I feel like this is something that could be really fun for me and also be kind of like back to my roots a little bit. I did ballet for 14 years growing up and then stopped when I was 17 before my senior year of high school just because it was such a time commitment and I knew that I wasn't going to dance in college. And so there's a studio close to me that does just like pay-as-you-go adult classes. And in general, my 2024 goal is to try a dance studio, but like in specific, it may even be like next week or the week after that I just like go back for the first time, which is just something that's exciting to me, but it's also out of my comfort zone. I feel like in the same way that Spanish is frustrating because my brain is like, at one point I would have known how to say this. I feel like going back to dance is going to be, I'm going to have to remove expectations because it's going to be the type of thing where it's like, I know at one point my body could have done this and now it's going to look a lot differently and dance a lot differently, but the intention behind this goal is just like to do something, I guess it's kind of like inner child, like to reconnect with the inner child, you know, and to continue adding new things into life that I haven't had incorporated into my life. I have the goal to read 100 books. I read more than that this year. I read around 120. It's going up a little bit because I'm finishing books still before the new year hits, but I read 120 books. I don't really feel the need to increase my goal. Like reading 100 or above is an absurd amount of books. And this is the first year that I ever would have hit that. And so that's my goal. Just read 100 books. And then my last personal goal is to develop a cleaning routine. I think I definitely fall into the trap of letting things get to a point to where they need to be cleaned and then is a bigger time commitment to do the things that need to be done. And I think it would be nice just to have a better like upkeep routine. So I don't know yet what that looks like. I'll have to come up with specifics coming up. But I don't know what that looks like, but whether it's like, oh, every Sunday I scrub the shower or just like things like that. Like I think tidying and decluttering is much more so in my routine than the like scrubby-dubby cleaning is in my routine. So I feel like I just need to increase my scrubby-dubby routine. Should I reword it to that? Develop scrubby-dubby. For health and wellness goals, my number one goal is consistency. I think that this was necessary for me mentally, but in the past year I've done a lot of different things for like a little while. Like at the beginning of the year I was weightlifting. Sometimes I would do Sydney Cummings videos. Sometimes I would do just like heavy weight, low rep. Sometimes I would do incline walk, and then I switched to running and I like fully switched to running. I was only runner girl, but even with that there's like a certain routine of it to where it was like I was doing 3 miles every night, 4 miles some night, doing long runs on Saturdays, and then once I ran my half marathon on, then I like cut things out, then I like stopped running and kind of started weightlifting again, but not for real, and I was doing different things every day, and then like now I'm kind of running again, but my running routine's not the same as it was before, and I just want 2024 to be a year of like less phases in my fitness routine and more just like trying to find something that is more relatively consistent that I can just like build upon rather than like about facing and doing something new. Now if something's not working, then I'm definitely going to change it, but just my overall goal is more consistency going into 2024. Another goal is to maintain skin improvements. My skin really has, it's not perfect, but it has improved a lot. I would say probably just like October on in this year. I feel like the way that you could see the improvement best would be to look at YouTube videos. I know there's some like from July that I was rewatching back and I was just like flabbergasted a little bit. I feel like there have been times when my skin's been kind of like out of my control, but then now that I feel like I've been taking steps to make it be better, I just want to maintain skin improvement to the best of my ability that's in my control. So like some of those things are like continuing doing facials every month. Like that's a fun self-care thing, but then also has really helped with my skin. And then like making sure that my routine and my products are like stuff that's not just like fun, but actually is helping my skin, because I think sometimes I'll just like use the same thing because I've always been using it, whereas switching can bring some benefit. So I just want to prioritize my skin health. The next goal is to stop asking myself questions. This sounds kind of funny, but I hope it makes more sense when I explain it. By stop asking myself questions, I mean whenever I develop a consistent routine, which theoretically will have like enough challenge and enough rest and enough diversity in it to be a good routine, but it's that whole dedication over motivation thing. I think often I'll have a plan in my head of like, okay, I'm running this many miles this night, or like I'm doing this workout in the morning, and then the morning will come along and I'll let myself ask myself, oh, like, do you feel like going to the gym right now? Do you feel like doing that workout right now? Do you feel like putting on your running clothes and going out and running? And most of the time the answer is no, because like it's rare that I feel like I really want to do that. And so by stop asking myself questions, I just mean not having that moment in the moment where I get to decide no. Now that doesn't mean overdoing it and never like allowing myself to not do a workout because it's not going to be good for me in that time. Like 100% still have flexibility with that, but have it be more of like an educated decision, not just like, do I feel like doing this? No, I don't. I need to stop asking myself, do I feel like this? Because if I have a goal, then consistency is going to have to get me there, you know? Or it's even that moment of, you know, oh, you never regret a workout after the fact, or whatever that quote is. I don't remember what that quote is. And like sometimes I have regretted going after the fact, but usually if I don't want to go and I still end up doing something, usually I feel better afterwards. And then the last health and wellness goal is just to stretch consistently. This has been something that has been in my goals for years at this point, and I just feel like I'm not good at it. But whenever I do have like a few days where I do stretch, I feel the benefits, I feel myself improving, and I think lots of times my focus is on being strong in my fitness routine, but I also want to be like flexible and functional, especially when my body, just like genetically how I'm made, is very stiff and very tight, especially in like the hamstrings, especially in the shoulders. My shoulders are so crazy tight, and I just know like while I'm young, I should do what I can to minimize like future problems that I already know exist in my body. You know what I mean? Like, so why can't I just stretch for 5 minutes every night? I don't know. I'm gonna have to be creative and find something that works for me so that I can stretch more consistently, which likely will be starting with trying to do like once a week, and then once I have that down, increasing it. You know, we're not gonna go crazy right in the beginning with something unrealistic, but I want to stretch more in 2024 than I did in 2023. Financial goals: contribute the maximum amount to my Roth IRA. I want to continue doing that. So far, I opened my Roth IRA in 2022 when I was 22. I contributed the max that year. I contributed the max 2023. I plan to contribute the max 2024. What I actually plan to do is to contribute the max right off the bat, just like in January, just to have that part done. But that is definitely a financial goal for 2024. In 2024, I want to get a raise. This should happen because we get yearly raises in, I think it's in June is when they come into effect. It's like we do this whole self-review process, and I don't know exactly how it works because I haven't done one yet, but since I started in May of this year, the year has not changed yet. I like heard a little bit about it when I was starting, and then it's like the first paycheck in June, I believe, is when people get the letters showing how much they get a raise. So that's just like financial goal. I want to be making more per hour at the end of the year that I'm making right now, and that should happen, but we'll see when it happens. And then my last financial goal is to invest alongside my high yield savings account. Right now, all money that I save just goes straight into my high yield savings account, which is a great thing. Love a high yield savings account, but since I've worked to like build up an emergency fund, and now I have that, and I have more than that right now, I can start putting money like into a brokerage account or other things that could grow maybe differently long term than a high yield savings account. So that one, I'm just like not sure what it's gonna look like yet, and I'm gonna have to do a lot of research and like consulting and figuring out what's gonna be best. But I do want to, in 2024, increase my investing instead of only holding money in a savings account. Travel goals. I have a goal to visit a new state this year. I don't know yet which state that'll be, but can you see? America's, there it is, kind of cut out. When I was looking, I'm kind of surprised at how many like good state options I have for visiting a new state. So I'm gonna have to narrow it down, brainstorm a little bit, figure out what state I want that to be. But I just think that lots of times whenever I take little trips, it's like to family, to states that I've been before, or like 2 places I've been before, which is great, love that. And also I want to make some sort of trip to a new state this year. Some just like immediate forerunners. I've never been to New York, so that could be one. I've never been to Massachusetts, so like Boston, Cape Cod. Always wanted to visit Nantucket. What's the other one? There's Nantucket and there's another one. I don't remember the other one that I'm thinking of. So I mean, like those would be fun, but then there's also like a lot of more western states that I've never been to, so I don't know if I'm just thinking a weekend trip here or like take a couple days off. I do not know. I'll figure it out, but one new state this year. I have a travel goal of taking another little fall weekend like Zach and I did this past October to be specific. It was just so perfect, especially with the fall leaves and like the weather getting cooler and just the mountain vibes, Appalachia. If you didn't watch that vlog, that is like one of my very favorite videos that I've made, probably because it's one of my very favorite weekends, but I just want to make that be a tradition, and we want to go again, whether to the same place or to somewhere different, sometime this fall too. And then with 2024 being my kind of like year of chillness, I don't have any current plans to go international in 2024. It'll be really cool if I can, but I just like don't know right now what that would be or what that would look like. And I don't know if it's realistic to plan to go international. I have to figure that out. I don't know. But all of that being said, I didn't want my goal to be to go international this year if I didn't know if that would be attainable or not. So my goal is to have plans for my next international travel. So whether it happens in 2024 or it happens in 2025, just like have the plans of what that's gonna be. My social media goals, number one is to upgrade my filming setup. I've had the same camera since I bought a camera whenever I started YouTube. It was like 6 months after I started YouTube is when I got my first camera. I had just been using my phone up until that point. I'm still using the same camera and there's nothing wrong with it. Like I do like it, I do enjoy it. I have gotten a new lens, not the one that it came with. Let me know if you remember when that happened too. That was also in a vlog. I did not get a new lens by choice. I got a new lens because I broke my old lens. But they're just such incredible filming capabilities nowadays. I mean, I upgraded a little bit this year because I got a light. I did not ever used to pay attention to lighting at all, and right now I am very well lit. But whether that's like a microphone, a new camera or lens, I don't know, I just feel like I'm watching people's videos and I'm like, that is so incredible. Like they look so good, and I feel like I don't necessarily get the same effect when I'm watching my own videos, and so I want to be able to upgrade, and I'll focus on it sometime in 2024. My subscriber goals are always so arbitrary. Like I will not be disappointed, I don't think ever, if I like don't meet a subscriber goal, but it more so is kind of just like to track growth and the way that growth throws, and it can feel like validation for sure whenever pour hours of my life into this little gig right here. It can feel like validation for it to be like received by people or received well by people and to be monetized. Like it makes it feel like, okay, yeah, this is something, this is worth it for sure. So my subscriber goal that I set for myself was 15,000 for 2024. Where I got this from is that would be double the amount of subscriber growth of this year, if that makes sense. So the subscriber amount that I grew in 2022 doubled in 2023. And so if that growth were to double again, it would be 15,000. And then this last little section, I talked about how last year I did like a 2023 bingo card. These things were more like things that would have gotten put on the bingo card, but since I'm not doing a bingo card this year, it's really just only 3 of them. Just kind of like big things that I either am hoping are happening this year or are definitely happening this year. Number 1 is run the Hilton Head half. That is in Hilton Head. It's the half marathon that I'm training for, and I'm going with a group, running with friends. I don't at all feel ready for it, like at all. But I still have a little bit to get there, but just since I've already signed up for that one, it's on the bingo card. Moved to the new hospital. I haven't talked about this yet. I'm keeping my same job, obviously, but my actual hospital is moving buildings this year. It's happening in the fall, and there has been so much preparation, and like since I started this past May, there's been so much preparation. Like I came in on the middle of it for this like upcoming move, and it's just gonna amp up even more in 2024 until the actual move itself, and then even like the first couple months in the new building is going to be big. And so it's just like something big that's happening this year, even though it's not like my own personal professional growth, but it is like a big thing that's happening in my professional life this year. And then my last thing was graduate from laser hair removal, because I had that on the goal for 2023, and then I had some delays along the process, and so I'm not yet graduated yet, and I'm definitely just going to keep getting my sessions until I feel like I am 100% at the hair growth reduction that I want. I'm getting close to there. I started in October 2022 getting laser hair removal in my armpits and then full Brazilian, and right now I'm at the point where it's 10 weeks between sessions instead of 5 weeks between sessions, but I still definitely want to do a few more at 10 weeks before graduating, because we're getting there, but we're just not quite at that full level yet that I'm hoping for. So after I just spent all that time talking about my goals, don't forget, if you haven't already, to put what your goal for 2024 is in the comments, and we are going to move on to a 2024 vision board. What is so funny with the Pinterest searches that got us to this board, I really was just searching for every single one of my goals, and then I put like aesthetic after it. So I mean, that was as little as like, oh, dance studio aesthetic, to I literally typed in Roth IRA aesthetic, HYSA aesthetic. Looking at the vision board, I'm actually very proud of how it turned out. I mean, you can see the process of making the collage, but whenever I was on Pinterest and saving these photos, I wasn't like trying to save along a certain color scheme or like trying to find photos that went well together. I was just finding photos that I liked of each thing that I wanted to include. So let's just start, I guess, top left, and then we can work our way down. Top left, the little quote, live in small moments. This goes along with just my goal of this year of not having big changes that I'm looking forward to, and so I'm going to have to grow, I guess, like horizontally, you know, live in the small moments, so I make the most of the small moments. And I think that that's always something that I have wanted to try to do, but has always gotten like a little bit overshadowed by the big moments that happen. And so the fact that this is going to be a year of lots of little moments, I just really want to live in those. Moving over, you can see the cabin with some fall leaves. I bet you can guess which goal that goes with. You can see the little ballet shoes with the leg warmers. That goes along with starting ballet again. You won't always be motivated, so you need to stay consistent. I felt like that just perfectly summed up a lot of my goals, especially the fitness and wellness ones, the health and wellness ones for this year. I feel like this camera one just like encompasses pouring myself into YouTube as a whole. It doesn't specifically go with the filming setup one. I don't use a Sony camera, I use a Canon camera, but YouTube vibes. Right under it, the YouTube plaque. That's the plaque you get at 100,000 subscribers. So that's not necessarily a 2024 goal of mine, just because that would be a lot. I don't think I'm growing that much. But again, for the vibes, for the pouring myself into YouTube, I thought that it really fit. The picture of the beach that's under the ballet shoes is actually of a.bea.s Island, where we went this past 2023. I think it would be incredible to go back. I don't necessarily know if that's like one of our travel things. I didn't include it in the goals for this year, but just in living in smaller moments, making the most of smaller moments, that kind of thing. That's just a place that I thought was so beautiful, and so I wanted to include it. We got Sweet Girl cooking up in the kitchen. I feel like I didn't include anything cooking related in the goals this year because I feel like I have made a routine of it, but that's just like something that I want to continue to be incorporated into my life. Not necessarily like cooking every night, but just like making food work for me, you know? Okay, headed back up to the top. top. Got a little calendar with like cute little marker and everything. That's just kind of like symbolizing being planned, being organized is what I feel like. I may do some journal spreads this year. I don't know yet. I haven't done them yet. It's a possibility. Under that is Hilton Head. So even though when I'm going, it'll be for the half and not like for chilling on the beach. It just still is so beautiful and it's going to be a part of my 2024. And then the quote that's right in the middle, I put right in the middle on purpose because I really liked it. And this is one that I've actually had saved on my Pinterest for a while. But I hope you can see how the everyday sweet little things are the most beautiful. 2024 vibes. That's what we're going for. More half marathon type feels under that one. We got our girly holding some books. I feel like that's self-explanatory. We got our girly doing a scrubby-dubby on the stove. That's how I'm trying to be. Facials, like I just feel like all of these pictures are things that are like literally exactly the goals that I was talking about. And so it's cute that they go together so well. I don't know if the girl on the bottom right is running or going for a hot girl walk. Either way, time outside, time being active. Just because it's taking time doesn't mean it's not happening. This one I included because I kind of alluded to it earlier, but I feel like I have several things that I want that are either like 2025 or beyond. And so I'm not planning, like I'm not making my 5-year plan right now, just my 1-year plan. But since 2024 isn't full of those big moments that I know of coming, just remembering that like the habits I make and the ways I spend my small moments are contributing to future self too, even if it's not like the actual achieving of those big goals. So just because it's taking time doesn't mean it's not happening. I got some candles, just, you know, to promote the cozy. And then lastly up top, the Spanish learning, since that obviously was the goal of mine as well. I hope at the least seeing my 2024 goals and vision board were entertaining to you. I hope at the most that they could be a bit inspiring to you or give you some ideas for how to set up your own 2024 goals or vision board if that's something that you like to do too. We make up time. Like if you do not feel ready to start doing something new on January 1st, that's okay. You can pick whichever day of your own to start any change that you would like. But for me, I do think it's a fun way to bookmark the year by doing the reflections that we've done so far, doing this like overarching planning, and then in upcoming videos too, we'll kind of get more into the nitty gritty of like, okay, actual achievable steps that I'm going to be taking, or like actual scheduled routines that I'm going to be implementing to work towards the things that I want to work towards. If you've reached this point in the video and you're not subscribed yet, go ahead and do that. Maybe the silver plaque can come this year, but only if you subscribe. I love you so much. I'm so thankful for you. I hope that, see, the day this is posting is December 31st. So I hope that you have a wonderful last day of your year. I hope that Taylor Swift announces Reputation Taylor's version tonight. And I'll see you tomorrow.